Welcome back to Raider Vision. And this evening we have with us Chuck Carswell, a Walton Raider parent, 9th grader and 11th grader here at Walton High School. But I think what's most important about Chuck is that, Chuck, you went to Mount Bethel, you went to Dickerson,
That is true.
played football and graduated from Walton High School, went on to University of Georgia, played football, ended up playing for the Miami Dolphins, and then you came back to East Cobb in 2004.
That is correct.
And your children are here at Walton High School. Chuck, the question's a simple one, but one I think a lot of people want to hear the answer to is, you moved back to Georgia in 1999, but you came back here in 2004 as your children were getting a little bit older. What drove that decision to do that?
It was really simple, Kurt. I think we looked at a number of things. Obviously, proximity to relatives was important, and my parents still live in the East Cobb and Walton High School district. But I think in addition to that, it was also the academics. Number one, we didn't have at the time the funds to send our kids to what would be considered a top private institution. And so we did what any concerned parent in that scenario would do. We basically searched websites, internet, looked at some of the publications and magazines that were coming out, and noticed that once again, Walton was still on top. And so we ended up moving back to this area so that our kids could be educated here.
Now, when you came back to Walton and brought your son and daughter back to this community, what did it feel like coming back on campus? How much had changed, and what are the things that you noticed that were different but also the same?
There was not much that was different,
right?
Which can be good and bad. I think the things that weren't different were obviously the facilities were pretty much the exact same. I think there was one or two additions maybe to the arts department that was relatively new, but beyond that, the facilities were just about the same. The turf on the football field was no longer grass, it was actually AstroTurf. But beyond that, the facilities were pretty much the exact same. Obviously, everything was kept neat and organized, but in those years since I had been gone, not much had changed here. The things that hadn't changed that were good were things like still the School of Excellence, still ranking top when it came to the arts and to the education and also to the athletic program. And so those were the things that we were happy to see still at the same level. But as far as the facilities, obviously there was a lot to be desired there.
The kids have any impression of that at all when you brought them here?
No, I think most importantly, the kids themselves really were excited to be back where Dad went to school.
Yeah.
I think that was a big deal. But probably, I guess about 6 months or so into being on campus, they started to notice things that were less than ideal in terms of the facilities and the needs that were there.
As a parent and as a graduate, an alum of Walton High School, what is your overall view and opinion, though, about what needs to be done?
Well, I think without question, the standard of excellence that we've had in all those areas that we mentioned before, between the fine arts, the academics, and also the athletic department, I think that the facilities should match that. I don't think, at least initially from the outside looking in, you can make things work without the necessity of awesome facilities. But when you have year after year after year of the kind of production that Walton has had and the staple that it's been not only in East Cobb but in the state of Georgia and actually in the nation, I think that those facilities need to be, they need to match what's coming out of this facility in terms of those other areas. So,
your daughter's an 11th grader. She won't be here when it's finished. Does that really matter to you, though?
No, I think it would be ideal, obviously, for
Sure.
her. I think any parent would love for their children to experience, this awesome growth and what should take place. However, who knows? Maybe in another 10, 20 years, maybe she'll be back here. And these facilities need to be such that whether it's our kids that have graduated and come back or new families that are moving in should have the same opportunities of facilities that are excellent that again match those other areas.
So, Chuck, I'm going to ask you the question that we ask every senior football player when we interview them, because we interview every senior football player. Favorite Raider memory?
Oh, wow. Favorite Raider memory? There's probably 3 or 4, but I'm going to try to see if I can't give you the best. Playoffs, McEachern, 1986. We were an underdog, heavy underdog. We should have lost, potentially we're not even supposed to be on the map.
Right.
And essentially we won the game and went on to, I think, what was the quarterfinals of the state. And what was so awesome about that night was that it was a full team contribution. There were so many different things that happened that were well from all of the athletes. And, it was that has to be, man, I can't believe you asked me that. That has to be one of my favorite memories.
It's always great to be a Walton Raider,
yeah,
right?
It's great to be a Walton Raider.
Well, Miami Dolphin, Georgia Bulldog, Walton Raider memories. Chuck, good seeing you again. Thank you very much.
Good to see you, Kurt.
Yep.